Welcome to Sportsball Roundup. Now here's your hosts, Devin and Reese.
Yes, hello, and welcome to Sportsball Roundup. I am Devin. Joining me is my co-host, Reese. And, well, Reese, the biggest game in America happened on Sunday. And, well, let's get into it. We had the San Francisco 49ers taking on the last year's defending Super Bowl champions, Kansas City Chiefs, with the Chiefs looking to go back-to-back Super Bowls, and the 49ers looking to kind of silence the doubters, especially Brock Purdy, trying to silence the Mr. Irrelevant storyline. And, well, let's get into it. In my opinion, the first half was kind of boring. It was 10-3 at half, and there was a lot of punting. And Reese, you were with me, and we were watching together. We were watching the traditional broadcast on CBS, but I went back and watched the simulcast that Nickelodeon put on, and, they had an interesting quote. They were talking with, SpongeBob and Patrick, and they asked SpongeBob if they heard of a place called Iowa, and SpongeBob replied, well, Iowa? That sounds exotic. And the announcer goes back with, in Iowa they have a saying that punting is winning. And that's pretty much all they were doing in the first half. Nobody could get really anything going on offense. They had a few fumbles and just turnovers, and it looked like a defensive struggle. What did you see in the first half, Reese?
Yeah, exactly what you talk about. Definitely, both teams couldn't get their offenses going, and it's kind of hard in a game like that, the magnitude of the Super Bowl, to get your emotions in check. Once you start that game and it's for real, it's hard to keep your emotions down. But once you get into the flow of things, halftime, that's when you start to see things flow better, and that's when we started to see some more scoring, and it turned into a better game than it was the first half.
Yeah, and I just want to say that, the first touchdown of the game was a crazy trick play. Brock Purdy to Jawan Jennings to Christian McCaffrey on kind of like a flea flicker wildcat looking thing, and that was crazy. And so going into halftime, Jawan Jennings was the front runner for me for MVP, and because that was a crazy play, and Jawan Jennings had to throw that on the dot, and he did. Hit Christian McCaffrey in stride for the touchdown. That was kind of cool. So, Reese, that brings us to halftime, and halftime saw Usher performing. I called it. I said, two of his guest performers would have to be Ludacris and Lil Jon, because you can't do Yeah without him.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
And so I think I spent a majority of that halftime show going, oh, yeah, he did that song, too. Because I really didn't know a whole lot of Usher songs going into that, and I learned that, I did. I just didn't know that they were by him. But, he ended with, yeah, Lil Jon did Turn Down for What. He had Jermaine Dupri on for Confessions, and I enjoyed the back half of the halftime show. The front half was a little bit, not for me, but I guess, what do you think about the halftime show, Reese?
Yeah, I thought it was awesome. I'm kind of with you. I enjoyed the back half. I I didn't really know his um, first half songs. I thought they were good though, but I remember hearing "Yeah" like for the first time when I don't know, I was in like middle school or starting high school at the time. It took me way back, man. That was awesome.
Yeah, I remember when Need for Speed Underground 2 came out. I was just starting 5th grade, I believe, and one of the title tracks on that was Yeah. Also had 369 by Lil Jon, which was kind of in that. The backbeat was in that halftime show. But yeah, it took me all the way back to 5th grade, Reese. That's how long ago those songs were. But hey, memory lane is always a good lane to go down sometimes.
Oh yeah.
Now, second half saw, well, a lot more scoring and, well, a lot more drama. We had calls, we had fumbles, we had near interceptions, we had long field goals, we had it all, Reese. And so, at the end of the game, Butker makes, what was it, like a 57-yarder?
I believe so.
To send it into overtime, breaking the previous record, which was set earlier in the game by Jake Moody, who kicked a 55-yarder. That was the longest in Super Bowl history. And so with those two field goals, we had the longest field goal in Super Bowl history to send it into OT. OT was 19-19. The San Francisco 49ers ended up receiving the ball in overtime and got stopped and had to kick a field goal to make it 22-19. And all Mahomes had to do was drive down the field and get a touchdown, and that's exactly what happened. So Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs win their second consecutive Super Bowl, and Mahomes is now, 3 for 4, Reese?
Yeah. Yep.
With the only loss being to, Tom Brady's Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So if he's on track, I guess he surpasses Brady.
It seems that way at the moment, the way it's going.
Yeah. And, don't get me wrong, I've gotten kind of used to Taylor Swift being on the broadcast a lot, being shown a lot. So that really didn't bother me. What bothered me was during the post-game festivities, they present the trophy first and foremost to the CEO of the team, and then to Andy Reid, then to Patrick Mahomes, then to Travis Kelce, and then I don't know who it was. Because after Travis Kelce got done, they cut to him running down the stage and going to embrace Taylor while another teammate was actively talking on the podium. We didn't get to see who it was because the cameras were focused on Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce, which I personally didn't like, because if it had been the 49ers, you wouldn't have seen that. If it would have been any other team, you wouldn't have seen that. But that guy must feel really bad that his moment got overshadowed by Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift. So with that, Super Bowl is in the books, and guess who's the favorite for next year already?
Houston. No, I'm just kidding. Of course, it's got to be the Chiefs.
You would think, but nope, it's the 49ers.
Really?
It is.
Wow.
And going back just slightly,
So once again, they're doubting the Chiefs again.
Absolutely. Going back a little bit, we told you last week that you could bet on really anything in the Super Bowl, including but not limited to Andy Reid's post-game meal. The leader in the clubhouse pregame was Burger King at plus 400. It ended up being In-N-Out Burger. So, and which is what I said, because it was the closest. We figured this out on Saturday. It was the closest to the stadium.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what he had. So I would have been correct on that and maybe won him money.
Do you happen to know what In-N-Out Burger?
No, they
what
brought
the
it
line
to
was?
him. Oh,
What the
okay.
line was? Kind of like
No,
what
I
Burger
don't.
King.
No, I really don't know what the odds were on that, but I think that it was like third, maybe. And I would have thought that it would be higher than that, to be honest with you, because of the proximity to the stadium. But that's what it was. And, well, I guess congratulations to the Kansas City Chiefs for winning back-to-back Super Bowls, which hasn't happened since the 2003 to 2005 run of the Patriots and Tom Brady. So congratulations. And with the Super Bowl wrapped up, we got to talk about some coaching changes in the NFL. Pete Carroll has left the Seattle Seahawks head coaching job for a job in the front office of the organization. He was the head coach from 2010 to this past season. He had the most regular season wins in franchise history with 137. He was a Super Bowl champion in 2013. He went back-to-back. He won back-to-back NFC championships in 2013 and 2014. He lost the Patriots in 2014 with the Marshawn Lynch decision. That gave the New England Patriots that Super Bowl. On the other side of that Super Bowl, Bill Belichick has now retired from the head coaching job of the New England Patriots. He was there from the year 2000 to this past season. He won 6 Super Bowls as head coach and has 8 total. He has the most Super Bowl appearances also as a head coach, with 9 of his 12 being a head coach. He has won the most playoff games as a head coach with 31 games. He's made the playoffs as a head coach 19 times, 19 seasons making the playoffs. He has the most divisional championships with 17. He has a 302 win, 165 loss record in regular season. He is 31-13 in the playoffs. And he is half of the Brady Belichick era, spanning from 2001 to 2019. So, Bill Belichick, Pete Carroll, 2 legends of the game, have retired. Bill Belichick has walked away from the game entirely, as far as we know, and Pete Carroll has taken a job at the front office. But those are 2 legends of the game, and honestly, 2 coaches that I just, grew up with. And just to see that is crazy. You know, just sign of we're getting old, Reese.
Yeah. You're definitely getting old, but
Right.
no, there's always a time to hang it up, and it's just that time for these coaches.
Yeah. In other coaching news, Lou Getsy, the offensive coordinator for the Bears, has been fired, and Joe Barry, the defensive coordinator for the Green Bay Packers, has also been fired. We will keep you updated on off-season news as it comes out. I did hear a rumor, Reese, that they're letting Mitch Trubisky go from the Steelers, and they are talking with the Bears on potentially getting Fields. What are your thoughts on that?
I don't know. This is the first time hearing of that, so first time, I don't think it's horrible. I mean, the Steelers have really had, non-mobile quarterbacks for the past few years. Um, so the thought of actually having a good, more I shouldn't say good mobile quarterback, but somewhat decent mobile quarterback to be able to, you know, get, be able to get um, out of the pocket most of the time. I mean, it could be good for Justin Fields to get out of Chicago and see what he can do in a different surrounding.
Yeah, so we'll have to see where that goes. Moving on to NBA. Not really much happening. It's mid-season, so I'm just gonna run you guys through the standings. In the East, the Celtics lead the way, followed by the Cavs, the Bucks, the Knicks, the 76ers, the Pacers, then the Heat, Magic, Bulls, and Hawks are looking for the playoffs. The Nets, the Raptors, the Hornets, the Wizards, and the Pistons are on the outside looking in. In the West, got the Timberwolves, Thunder, Clippers, Nuggets, Suns, Pelicans. The Mavericks, Kings, Lakers, and Warriors are in it still. The Jazz, the Rockets, the Grizzlies, the Blazers, and the Spurs are on the outside looking in. Embiid is out for multiple weeks with a meniscus injury. So we'll have to see how that impacts the 76ers. But, Reese, any thoughts on the NBA so far?
Not really. It's been pretty watchable. I'd say it's been pretty good. Um, just some different teams on top. They've been able to um, continue their winning ways and stay on top. So we'll have to see if that continues into the playoff stretch.
All right. Well, we'll see what happens there. Moving on to NCAA men's basketball. The top 25 has UConn, Purdue, Houston, Marquette, Arizona, Kansas, North Carolina, Tennessee, Duke, Iowa State, South Carolina, Baylor, Auburn, Illinois, Alabama, Dayton, Creighton, St. Mary's, BYU, Wisconsin, Virginia, Kentucky, Indiana, FAU, and Oklahoma rounding out the top 25. And the last night's upsets in men's ball. Illinois State beat 23 Indiana State 80-67. Pittsburgh beat 21 Virginia 74-63. Syracuse beat number 7 North Carolina 86-79. The Iowa men are 14-10, 6-7 in conference play. They're 8th in the conference. They play at Maryland tonight. Iowa State 19-5, 8-3 in conference, ranked 10th in the country. Beat Cincinnati last night and are tied for first in the Big 12 with Houston. Drake is 21-5, 12-3 in conference play. They hit a half-court three-pointer to beat Evansville last night. They're one game back of Indiana State for first in the Missouri Valley Conference. And now my secondary team that really doesn't make sense except for the fact that I liked their logo and they did good. FAU, they're 19-5, 9-2 in conference. They reached the Final Four last season, which is why I rooted for them. They're second in the AAC, and they're one game behind South Florida. And honestly, the men I haven't followed really as much as the women because to me, the men are the JV team in the Hawkeye State. As far as the Hawkeyes go, I mean, Iowa State is a different story, but for Iowa, it is the far and away JV team.
Yeah, most definitely. Yeah, living here in Iowa, it's most definitely the women's basketball that's taken the world by storm. I mean, the men's team isn't all that great this year. They're decent, but everyone's focus is on the women's team.
So speaking of women, we will run you down the top 25. South Carolina is number 1, followed by Ohio State, then Stanford, then Iowa, then Texas, then NC State, then Kansas State, then Colorado, UCLA, USC, Oregon State, Virginia Tech, LSU, Indiana, UConn, Notre Dame, Gonzaga, Louisville, Syracuse, Creighton, Baylor, Utah, Oklahoma, West Virginia, and Princeton. Now, Caitlin Clark on Sunday was 39 points away from the NCAA women's scoring record. She dropped it down to 8 points. She is 129 points away from the all-time women's career scoring record, set back before the NCAA sanctioned women's sports. And she is 147 points away behind Pete Maravich, who has the men's NCAA record, with the all-time scoring record, both men and women, being Pete Maravich with 3,667 points. She broke the threshold for 1,000 career assists on Sunday. Now she is just looking for that NCAA record. And Reese, honestly, dude, I wish she got it last Sunday in Nebraska for 2 reasons. One, so we can get back to playing our game. Sunday did not look like our game. It looked like the scoring record had a huge impact, and I don't like that. I just want us to win.
Yeah.
The scoring record is secondary, and obviously she'll get there. I just wanted to win. And, they're worried about breaking it at home, yada, yada, yada. Yeah, I don't care. I just want wins. And I know she'll get it, so I just want wins. And the other reason is that now Thursday will probably have the highest rated Peacock game ever, and which I hate because I'm an Iowa fan first and foremost, so I will be watching on Peacock. But I absolutely hate it because if Peacock continues with this level of, I guess, success of forcing you to watch games on Peacock, other networks will follow suit, and there will be no reason for you to have, cable or be able to watch it for free over the air because it'll all be on subscription services. Because, then CBS will move their games to Paramount Plus, and Fox will move their sports games to the Fox Sports app and start making you pay for that. And, ABC will move all their games to Hulu and make you pay for that. And it's just not good for sports in general. And so I want every single Peacock game to be the lowest rated game of all time. And now I'm at a crossroads where I have to figure out what takes priority, and that is Hawkeye Sports. So I will be watching on Peacock, but I hate it. And I just hate the direction that it's going. Like I said, the game will be tomorrow night versus Michigan on Peacock. And if you want to go to the game, Reese, you're going to have to pay a pretty penny. The cheapest nosebleed seats on SeatGeek are going for $257. That was as of yesterday. And as of yesterday, the most expensive seats are going for almost $4,600.
Wow.
The
that's a lot.
$4,600 ones are courtside.
That's a lot for a college game, but I get it.
Yeah, it's history, is what it is. And that goes to show you how good Lisa Bluter is versus how little she gets paid. Like, Fran McCaffrey makes way more than she does, and he is not bringing in the kind of crowd that can ask $4,600 for a seat.
Right. Yeah.
So, literally, Lisa Bluter, Caitlin Clark, and that Hawkeye women's team are the ones paying for Carver Hawkeye right now.
It's crazy, but there's been so many good women's basketball players that have come out of Iowa high schools, and
Absolutely.
I just think Iowa is underrated for their women's basketball landscape in the country. You know, like, I don't know how to describe it, but you know, it's easy for us to say because we see it on a daily basis, but everybody else might not. I mean, there's so many good women's basketball players, and for them to stay in the state of Iowa and play in a college, you know, at Iowa college, it's pretty rare sometimes. But for like Caitlin to stay when she had so many offers to go pretty much anywhere she wanted, to stay here at Iowa is pretty special, and to break a huge record like the scoring record of the NCAA is pretty special at Iowa.
Yeah, I will agree. That is absolutely 100% special. We'll have to see what happens, and we will keep you updated in our podcast next week. But for Reese, I am Devin. You've been listening to Sportsball Roundup. Have yourselves a wonderful day.